Family, if you would please comment below, be unstoppable. Be unstoppable. In fact, I want that to be our declaration as we step into this week's opportunities. I want you to be unstoppable. Don't be paralyzed by fear. Don't be held down by doubt. Don't allow your insecurities to cause you to show up with a watered down version of who you are. Stop being intimidated to raise your hand for opportunities. Stop avoiding spaces that you need to enter into to build your vision, to further your career, to scale your business. We're going to show up with an unstoppable mindset, right? Now, before we dive into some practical things that we could begin to do, the mindset shift, I want to paint the picture for us, right? Fear and doubt are largely the two greatest enemies to your personal power. What makes you special, your unique abilities, your greatness, right? What helps you shine your light in the world in which you live and the life that you're currently living. Doubt and fear will put you and place you in a position where you're ineffective and in many cases missing out on opportunities. In fact, I want us to take a brief moment and consider that. How many opportunities have you missed out on simply because you were afraid to step outside of your comfort zone, or you doubted yourself, so you talked yourself out of doing certain things that you really wanted to do? Maybe you had never done it before, but it seemed so big and so intimidating that you stayed in stayed place or remained in the same position in life. Think about those opportunities that you have missed out on. How your life can be different, how you can be at a different level if you overcame those fears. Now that we see that, we're not going to critique ourselves and beat ourselves up to the point that we're feeling less than, right? No, we're approaching this with grace. I simply ask that question to bring that into the forefront of our mind, to open up a new world of possibilities. But with that understanding now, I want us to move into this week with a deeper level of conviction, saying, you know what, I'm not going to settle for anything less than what I was created for. I'm going to move beyond these uncomfortable feelings because, mind you, your life has a bigger purpose than you just running away from uncomfortable feelings or emotions that may seem uncomfortable. You got a bigger purpose than that. No, we're going to step boldly into what it is that we want. In fact, to kind of paint the picture for us, I want to use a quote from MLK. Shout out to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In fact, today in the States, we set aside this day to honor his legacy. It's MLK Day here in the United States. Shout out to everybody that's watching this across the borders, wherever part of the world you're watching this in. I'm quite sure you've heard of Dr. Martin Luther King and his legacy. At one point in time, Dr. King had this famous quote where he said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but it's where he stands in times of challenge and controversy." I think that's worth repeating. Dr. King said the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience. No, it's not about what happens when everything seems to be working, when everything seems to be falling in place, when there's all positivity surrounding you. That's not the ultimate measure of a man. But the ultimate measure of a man is where he stands in times of challenge and controversy, when your back is up against the wall, when you're pushed outside of your comfort zone, when life is difficult and times are challenging, when the struggle is real. It's the decisions that you make in those moments that will ultimately shape your life, define your legacy, determine who you become and what you accomplish in life. Now, again, I'm quite sure we're all aware of the legacy of Dr. King, right? The I Have a Dream speech, leading the civil rights movement, right? Impacting lives and, being a striking force and a leading force in changing policy, right? To help people like me, persons of color, to be able to step into a nation and receive equality and to build a quality of life that resembles the Declaration of Independence, right? Where we all have rights and we all have the life of, or what's the same, the pursuit of life of liberty, right? life of happiness, life of opportunity, so to speak, right? Now, we see his legacy and we see the great and phenomenal things that Dr. King accomplished, but we have to understand that every great leader begins somewhere, right? They start somewhere. Every master was once a disaster, but they stuck with that craft and got better. Every leader started at a lower position, but they built themselves up, whether it was their reputation, whether it was their skill set, whether it was their craft. They positioned themselves, right? They paid their dues to get to where they aimed to be. And the same is true for Dr. King. And I can recall listening to one of his speeches, and he was talking about when he initially stepped into the Montgomery bus boycott, right? This is before the massive movement with the civil rights movement. In fact, the Montgomery bus boycott led into that movement. But Dr. King was talking about where he was mentally and emotionally and even professionally when that opportunity presented himself. And he began to describe how he felt intimidated stepping into this role, right? How he had recently graduated from seminary. He had a young family, an infant daughter, a young wife. And now he's in a position where he's exposing himself. He's putting himself out there. Can anybody ever relate to that, right? Where you're placing yourself in a position that's outside of your comfort zone, right? In fact, it's your gifts and your talents that are moving you in this direction. He talked about how he really didn't want to step into this role, but because of the aura, the energy, the vibe, because of the gifts that he possessed, they made room for him. And now he found himself in an uncomfortable position where he's asked to lead a movement. Now, let me write this vision and make it very, very clear, right? We're talking about Jim Crow law times, right? During the civil rights movement, where there was a lot of hatred, right? Like cutthroat hatred. Dr. King talked about when the individuals asked him, right, hey, can you lead this movement, right? Can you be the one that is on the forefront, that is leading this movement towards the promised land? He talked about how he received death threats. He's picking up the phone. And mind you, back then, family, we don't have caller ID. So it's not like you can just avoid these calls like you have, your cell phone that pops up with a spam number, right? You don't get that luxury. This may be your nephew. This may be your mother. This may be your cousin that's calling. So the odds of you picking up that phone are now greater. You're like, I just need to know who's on the receiving end, right? Who's on the other end giving me a call. So he would pick up the phone, and on the other side of that call, there'd be a ugly voice telling him, hey, we're going to bomb your home, and that newborn isn't going to live any longer, right? We're going to kill you and your family if you think about stepping into this role. And Dr. King, during this speech, was talking about really the turmoil that he was facing in these moments, right? He talked about one night in particular where he picked up the phone, and the man on the other side called him a word that isn't true, it's not a word I'm going to use now because I know we have children tapped into these broadcasts, but he called him something that made him feel some type of way, right? So he found himself sitting in his kitchen, and he's questioning himself, and he's asking himself, do I really want to do this? And I know many of us can relate to that, right? Like there's a role that you want to step into, but the pressure is intense, right? Like the responsibility of stepping into this role is intimidating. And he found himself in a position where he's like, man, I maybe need to back down and step away from what it is that is asked of me. And then what he said, family, during this speech is what I want to share with us, because I believe it's something that we can use and leverage to overcome our fears and our doubts. Because again, that's where Dr. King found himself, overwhelmed by fear and doubt in that particular moment. He began to reflect on everything that would happen if he stepped into that role. All the things that may present themselves if he said yes to being the leader of this movement. How he's putting his life on the line. How now his family may be at jeopardy because he's taking ownership of this role. But then what he said was, I stopped thinking about everything that would happen if I did. And then I started reflecting on everything that may happen if I don't. the people that may miss out on living a life of freedom and liberty, the young children that may not have the opportunity to truly be their true self in a society that's often in many ways rejecting them. He started reflecting on generations to come and how life would be different if he didn't step into that role. D1, what are you saying during this brief conversation? What I'm saying is this. What often stimulates fear within our psyche is when we focus on everything that may go wrong, how we may be placed in a category of victimhood if we step in a particular space, how we may get the short end of the stick if something unfolds that is not in our favor. But I challenge us in those moments, I need you to shift your perspective. Don't focus on everything that can go wrong. I want you to focus on things that will not happen if you don't step into that role, if you don't start that business, if you don't improve the quality of your life, if you don't better yourself, if you don't become a more effective leader, if you don't step boldly outside of your comfort zone. Who misses out because you give in to your fears, because you succumb to your doubts? And this is how we overcome the fear that often tries to stop us from moving our lives forward, the doubt that often haunts us in the midnight hour and telling us we're not good enough and not great enough. If you don't do it, who misses out on you stepping into your purpose? If you don't do it, how will life never be if you don't step boldly into your calling or step boldly into that vision that you have for your life? I need us to understand, family, what you fear but never face will always control you. Yeah, I think that's worth repeating, right? What you fear but never face, it will always manipulate you. But you have to understand, fear will never go anywhere. It's a matter of you leveraging the courage from within and making the conscious decision that I'm going to stand boldly on what it is that I want for my life. Because again, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in times of comfort and convenience, but it's where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. So I'm talking to that one right now, right? There's a fork in the road for you, and you got to make a decision. There's something that you want to do, and there's something that you're aiming to avoid. I need you to understand that the treasure that you seek is found in the cave that you're afraid to enter. So instead of running away from what makes you uncomfortable, accept the challenge to expand your capabilities. And what that means is you stepping boldly into what makes you feel uncomfortable. Because here's the beauty of it all. It's through that discomfort that you truly discover yourself. In fact, that's where you truly define who you are. The essence of your greatness begins to flourish in those moments when you're uncomfortable. Again, like I mentioned earlier at the top of this conversation, your life has a greater meaning and a bigger purpose than you just running away from a few uncomfortable feelings and emotions. No, you weren't designed simply just to consume air. You weren't designed simply just to exist. You were fearfully and wonderfully made to live your life and live it abundantly, to live your best life. And a part of you living your best life means, hey, in some cases, you got to do the things that make you uncomfortable. How do you think people get diamonds and gold? They go into some of the darkest and uncomfortable spaces. But then retrieving those things, they bring out treasure. And the same is true with you, your gifts, your talents, your goals, your dreams. You may have to step outside of your your comfort zone, Step outside of your normal territory and go toe-to-toe with your fears. Confront your doubts, challenge your insecurities, dig deep down and tap into your greatness. But on the flip side of that, something amazing can be birthed. We've said many things during today's conversation. I'll wrap it up by saying this. Your call to action is this. What is it that you've been avoiding that you need to do to get to where you aim to be? I challenge you this week to bust a move, right? Everybody watching this live and everybody catching this on the replay, I challenge you wherever you may find yourself. That fear. I'm talking about that fear that has your heart pacing. That fear that has you struggling with ruminating thoughts. That fear that often creates images and pictures in your mind of you falling short and you failing. I want you to challenge that fear this week. I want you to take a step, a bold step, whatever it is, right? You've been hesitant to go back to school because you may feel as if, hey, I can't handle college courses, or maybe I'm at an older age. I challenge you to take a step. You've been hesitant to start that podcast. You are full of value and you have great stories. You have great information that people can benefit from. I challenge you to take that step. You have a message on the inside of you, but you've been biting your tongue. I challenge you to confront that fear. Whatever it is, I challenge you not to run away from what makes you uncomfortable, but to accept the challenge to expand your capabilities. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you reframe the way that you look at it. Don't be afraid of everything that can go wrong. Get excited about the things that can go right. Don't be hung down and weighed down by everything that may fall short, or, how things may not work out. Stay focused and remind yourself that if you don't do this, somebody's missing out. You have children that look up to you. You have peers that are inspired by you, and you don't even know it. You have coworkers that are encouraged by you. I need you to show up and be the best version of you, and challenge yourself to do the thing that you've been running away from. I feel like I'm talking to somebody personally this morning. Whoever it may be, let today be the day where you make the executive decision. I'm no longer going to live my fears, but instead I'm going to live my dreams. I'm no longer going to be held hostage or manipulated by my doubts, but instead I'm going to move with confidence. I'm going to start believing in myself, right? I'm going to move with conviction from within, knowing that I can build a better reality for myself. I can initiate positive changes in my life. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's painful. Yes, it's challenging, but it's worth it. So today, let this be the day that you shift your focus, you upgrade your mindset, you redirect your attention towards everything that can go right instead of everything that can go wrong, and overcome those fears and those doubts that stand in front of you and where you aim to be in life. If you slid into this broadcast and I was unable to give you a shout out, be sure to comment below. And if in fact this is your first time, or maybe your first time tuning in a long time, I welcome you. And I want to shout you out as well. Be sure to put a number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. Again, number 1 in the chat and then place your first name afterward. I'm hoping that somebody somewhere found some form of value during today's conversation. If so, put some fist up in the chat. Let your boy know that you were picking up what I was putting down during this conversation. Let me see what we got in the building. I missed a bunch of comments, y'all. Nothing personal. Your boy was just in the zone. Yeah, Yukita, you're unstoppable. And never forget that, sis. Wisdom with grace, you know it. Got my mom tapped in. Great day to your mom. Hope all is well with you. Rashonda, got Texas in the building. Hope all is well with you, sis. It's been a while. Welcome to the stream. So glad to have you tapped in live. Jacob, being refined is not easy. I am sure I have started the process and has gotten harder, backed out. And as it got harder, I backed out. It is time for me to stay in the process, man. You got to let it cook, brother. You got to let it cook, brother. It starts with you making the commitment that I'm in it for the long haul, right? And I think that's a challenge for so many of us, right? Particularly in the, where we're at now on the calendar, right? That New Year motivation for many of us is kind of wearing off, right? And maybe we find ourselves resorting back to those old patterns, those old way of thinkings, right? Those habits that, we said we were going to release ourselves from in the new year. It's in those moments, family, that we have to begin to conquer ourselves. This is what I mean when I'm talking about developing discipline, right? Particularly mental discipline, right? Where ultimately you make up your mind, listen, I'm going to stick with this. It's challenging. It's pushing me outside of my comfort zone, but I'm not focused on the process. I'm focused on the prize, right? That's the mindset shift that we need to make. A lot of times we focus on the process. We think about all the work that we have to do, the sacrifices that we're making, what we're missing out on. No, don't focus on what you're missing out on. Focus on what you can gain. Focus on where you can go. Focus on who you can become and the impact that you can make, because it's bigger than us, right? So we have to redirect our focus in those moments when we feel like opting out of our commitments, because we've all been there. Every single one of us, from the people that inspire you, from the people that you work with, from the people that you see on social media. We all have this tug of war that's happening on the inside of us. But those that continue to move forward, they master this thing that we call our mind right here. You got to remain disciplined. Veronica Neal is in the building. Great day to assist. Hoping all is well with you. Leon, if you never try, you will always fail. For sure. If you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no. If you never knock, the door is never going to open. If you never take a step, you will always remain in the same place. Linda Tribble's in the broadcast. Great day to you. Glad to have you tapped in live. Jacob, again, glad to have you tapped into the stream. Yusuf, NYC, is in the building. Salute. Welcome to the broadcast. Dr. Phelps is in the stream. Welcome. Hope all is well. Kimberly Ann is in the building. Chicago, my Chicago getter. Send positive energy for sure. Glad to have you tapped in live. Time away for family matters, but I am back. Excellent. Glad to have you back, Rashonda, for sure. Yes, hashtag mental discipline, Mia. Absolutely. With that being said, family, let me put this up on the screen. If we have yet to connect on other social media platforms, what are we waiting for? Connect with your boy. I'm at D1 Gibson pretty much on all platforms, including Instagram, Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter. And then be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you guys have yet to do so. A lot of long-form content that is exclusively for YouTube is available there, so be sure to subscribe to take advantage of that. Then elevationisAmust.com. Be sure to check out my website. Join the growth newsletter where I share practical tools and tips on mindset development, personal growth, self-improvement on a weekly basis. So be sure to tap into the growth newsletter that's available at the website, elevationisAmust.com. Also, not for sure if you guys have heard, our MindFit community. If you guys truly enjoy these broadcasts, we dive deeper in our MindFit community. In fact, Rashonda, Nicole, we are revisiting our Rules of Your Mind series starting this Wednesday. Family, I cannot wait to dive into this coursework, man. If you are looking to gain a deeper understanding on how your mind works, not just consciously, but subconsciously, right? Your thought patterns, your belief system, what emotions are influencing you, the story that you are telling yourself, and how to tell a more empowering story, how to change the narrative in your head, how to improve your self-talk, how to start stimulating more positive emotions beginning first thing in the morning so you can show up effectively and achieve your goals and your dreams. You need to be in the MindFit community. This Rules of Your Mind series will change your life. I'm putting myself out there on a limb. Rashonda, Nicole, you ladies can attest. I said this last time when we went through this particular series. I told everybody in the mastermind, I said, listen, I guarantee you will not be the same person by the end of this series that you are when we start. Was I lying, family? Was I lying? Rashonda, Nicole, was I lying, right? Now, this is me speaking humbly because what we describe and discuss are tools that you can apply to your day-to-day life. I'm talking about leaders here, family, right? There's not a lack of inspiration that you have. No, we need systems that actually work, systems that you can apply to your day-to-day life. You can put into your toolkit, right? So when you're overwhelmed by stress, now you can leverage this tool, right? You can master your mindset. Ultimately, you're mentally fit. And when you're mentally fit, that's not to say that life doesn't knock you down. What that's to say is you don't stay down as long as you used to, right? Things that used to bother you for a week, right? Or a day and a half. Now it only takes 20 minutes and you're back to it. You're refocused, you're recentered because you understand how your mind works and operates. Not only that, but you begin to condition your mind for success, changing the narrative in your head. You start speaking the language of success. I can, I will, it's possible, right? And you start attracting everything that's on the frequency of your goals in your dreams. If y'all can't tell, your boy D1 is passionate about this, right? So I say all that to say this, right? If you're interested in diving deeper into that, come connect with us in the MindFit community. I believe it's up on the screen here. Right there. I'm trying to think. Facebook is available. YouTube, I'm not for sure. Simply go to mindfitcommunity.com. Again, mindfitcommunity.com. We're going to be going live this Wednesday. Be sure to tap in. I still be using the tools. 2023 has been a hard year, and the tools help me so much. There it goes, sis. And you got what it takes, and it takes what you have. Just keep leveraging those tools, mastering your mindset. Remember, new devils are going to come with new levels. So ultimately, every time you level up, there's going to be challenges, right? They're not going to go away, but you're going to get stronger. You're going to be more equipped to handle those things that may be trying to knock you down, but you got to stay focused. Yes, tapping in for sure. But again, the MindFit community, but mindfitcommunity.com. For those that are on YouTube, because I do not believe the link is available there. But everybody watching this on Facebook, I think this particular comment is in the chat. It's the very first one. I think it's programmed where this is actually automatically uploaded into the chat. So be sure to hit the link that's available there, or simply go to mindfitcommunity.com. We'll be live this Wednesday, beginning this series. It's like a 15-week series, family. And again, we're diving into the rules of your mind, where you understand the different layers and dynamics of how your mind works, logically, emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, mentally. You'll gain a deeper understanding on how things are working, and you'll never look at anything the same, right? You'll be able to look at your challenges from a different point of view. You'll look at your struggles from a different perspective. You'll look at fear even, right, with a different philosophy, and you'll start being motivated by that fear, understanding that this is an opportunity for you to shine and, again, expand your capabilities. So, again, tap into that if you're looking to dive deeper. It's actually on a Zoom call, so therefore it's more personal. And you can ask questions in real time, and we can talk about how we can personally apply this to your walk, your journey, and what you're building and the goals that you're working towards. With all of that being said, though, let's wrap this thing up, because you have dreams to catch and success to create, so we all got to get busy being great. Your boy D1 going to spit some bars on this MLK day for sure. But in the meantime, family, if you find yourself in a difficult situation or a challenging experience, just remember that this too shall pass. In fact, to everybody that's going through it, I'll rephrase that. Everybody that's growing through it. It's a difficult season, a challenging moment for you in your life right now. I need you to say that with me. This too shall pass. I need you to visualize this challenge passing. And as you visualize that challenge passing, I want you to envision yourself becoming stronger and better and greater and more equipped for your next level, right? Now, you may be saying, D1, it sounds good, sounds inspirational, but you have no idea what it is that I'm currently up against. D1, you have no idea what I'm facing right now. Even in this moment, I may not know what you're up against in this moment. I may not know what you're currently facing. I may not even know you personally. But what I do know is this, family: whatever stands in front of you and whatever stands behind you ain't got nothing compared to what's at work on the inside of you. So I need you to stand up with your personal power. I need you to remain focused. Your focus is critical in this moment. I need you to keep deciding to show up. I know it hurts. I know it's painful. I know it's hard. I know the struggle is real, but you finding your strength. Because keep in mind, sometimes you don't know how strong you are until strength is the only choice that you have, right? To be strong is the only choice you have. I need you to make that decision right now to be strong and keep moving forward. And as you persist, eventually you shall and will succeed. But if you give up now, one thing's for sure: you ain't never gonna get there. You'll never experience it. You'll never see it. So right now, make the executive decision. I'm going to pull myself together. Yes, I may have tears rolling down my face, but I'm going to stick my head up. I'm going to keep it held high, because if I keep my head down, I may miss my blessings and miss out on opportunities and never see the possibilities. that can take me to the next level. So I challenge you, even though it's difficult, to keep moving forward. Felt like somebody needed to hear that this morning. Nonetheless, if nobody else tells you that they love you today, remember, D1 has nothing but love for each and every single one of you. I love you. Spread that love. Make it contagious, right? Put a smile on your face and make it contagious. Make somebody else smile with your energy, with your positivity. That's what we're here for. With all of that being said, family, we'll be back at it next week, Monday morning, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, for those that are connected with the MindFit community, we're going live this Wednesday. Look out for information on that. When you download the app, all of that information will be available. But until then, I want you to be effective. I want you to be successful. I challenge you to live with some passion, and most importantly, give me 3 pounds to your chest. 1, 2, 3. Be powerful. I'll see you all next week. Have a phenomenal MLK Day. Monday, let's go get everything that has our name on it. Peace.
I can hear the message loud and clear. I'm gonna make it. I can see my shot is here, so now I'm gonna take it. Gotta get up, get out, time to stand up, get loud, time to rise up off the floor. And I'm stronger than ever now, can't hold me down no more. I'm waking up, 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 I'm waking up. So I'ma do it right now.